Hi everybody and welcome back to Harry's Music Room. Today I'm going to be doing a video on one of my favorite genres of music, and that's alt country, roots, or Americana, whatever you want to call it. I kind of got into this music probably around 1999, I guess. I'm going to start out with a record that was gifted to me, a VCLT from George Borden. Sent me this beautiful Graham Parsons white label promo of GP. Graham is just one of the great artists. He went on to, before he went solo, he had the International Submarine Band, and this has been reissued several times. Originals of this are on the Lee Hazelwood label and are quite expensive. So Graham, if you don't know the history and the story of Graham, check it out. He died. He was a trust fund baby, so he never was hurting for money, and he didn't really put a lot of effort, I should say, into his music. Really, he kind of took it for granted. Very talented guy, great songwriter. Gone too soon. But one person that I always thought was similar to Graham Parsons was Ryan Adams. And this is Ryan's band, Whiskey Town, Stranger's Almanac, which is absolutely a must-have record if you're into this type of music. You really, if you have not heard this, I know you're going to say, oh, Ryan Adams. No, really, check out Whiskey Town. And some of his solo stuff too is very good. Next up we have, these are no particular order, Townes Van Zandt. What a great songwriter. He's another one in the vein of Tom Waits and Bob Dylan and Neil Young, where people say, oh, I can't stand his voice. But his songwriting is superb. Poncho and Lefty, Tecumseh Valley, Waiting Around to Die, If I Needed You, Rex's Blues. The guy wrote so many great songs. Next up I have Casey Chambers. Now Casey's music I came to through an episode of The Sopranos where they played the song The Captain. Casey is from Australia. Her father was a huge country and western fan, and she says, I saw her at the Tractor Tavern in Ballard, and her dad was in the band with her, and she tells stories about when she was young. Her father would put everybody in the station wagon, load it up, go into the outback, and they would just live out there, and they would just travel. And at night they'd build a campfire, and the dad would pull out a guitar and they'd sing country and western songs. And it spoke to her. And the stuff that she does is so good. This is a very good album to start with. If you don't know anything about her music, I would highly recommend this particular album to start with. Next we have Hayes Carl. Hayes is a fellow who was kind of mentored by Ray Wylie Hubbard. They wrote a song together called Drunken Poet's Dream. They've played together. This album has got some really good songs. Bad Liver and a Broken Heart. A song called I Got a Gig. A Lover Like You. And the last song, She Left Me for Jesus. You go to YouTube and look for Hayes Carl, She Left Me for Jesus. Just listen to it. Very funny song. Next up we have David Rawlings and Gillian Welch. I've heard it pronounced Gillian, I'm not sure. But David Rawlings is one of my favorite alt country kind of artists. Um, they are very particular about recording their music. They use vintage equipment. They are total analog. I think they even use tube equipment to record. They have their own pressing. Uh, well, I don't know if it's their own pressing plant, but it's their own label, Acony, Acony. And everything they do is just top quality. The sound is amazing on their records. Here's another one. They've got quite a few albums out, but really you've got to check them out. They're very good. I saw the David Rawlings Machine on when they were on tour. His backing band at the time was the Old Crow Medicine Show, and they also opened that show for the tour. But David also co-wrote a song with Ryan Adams called "To Be Young Is to Be High" or something like that. But it's on one of Ryan's albums. I think it's on Pneumonia, but I'm not sure. But very good guy. I was at a show in Seattle to see a fella, and during the break, I went outside of the venue, and I'm looking across the street, and I'm with a friend of mine, and looking across the street, I see this guy wearing a white cowboy hat, and and the other fella's name was Harry as well. I said, "Hey, that looks like David Rawlings," and he looked and he goes, "I think it is." So we walked across the street, and I walked up and I said, "David," and he looked and I said, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. Love your music." Told him what a fan I was. We talked for a little bit, and then he goes, "Okay, well, I got to go. My Uber's here." Never dawned on me that the woman with him was Gillian Welch. I totally ignored her. And I can only imagine they got in the car and he said, "Hey, he likes my music. He didn't say anything about you." But anyways, another fellow that I really like a lot is Jimmy Dale Gilmore. Jimmy Dale has a lot of solo albums out. He was also with the Flatlanders, which was a band with Butch Hancock and Joe Ely. And I actually got to see the Flatlanders in concert probably around 2000, maybe, I think. But Jimmy Dale's got a very, very distinctive voice. I love the song White Freight Liner Blues that he does on here. He's also touring right now with Dave Alvin. Dave Alvin's another one who I'll be showing some records of here in a moment. Another fellow that I like a lot is Doug Somm. This is Dr. John, and this is Bob Dylan. There's a lot of guest stars on here. They've got, let's see, Flaco Jimenez on accordion, Augie Myers on piano and guitar. But Doug Somm is almost, I guess you would call him a cosmic cowboy. He started out with the Sir Douglas Quintet. The label said, if you had a name, if you use this name, Sir Douglas Quintet, people might think you're from England, which would only help the sales because this was the time of the British invasion. So that's what they became, and they had the hit song Mendocino, and they had the hit song called She's About a Mover, and I love the organ on that song. And She's About a Mover was originally, the lyrics were, she's a body mover, and he wrote it about a gal that used to dance at his shows. And the label said, you can't do that because the radio won't play it, so they changed it to She's a Body Mover. But there we have the Sir Douglas Quintet. And then Doug Somm was also put together the Texas Tornadoes. He's very proficient, very proficient. He's a child prodigy. When he was, I think, 6 years old, he was already playing pedal steel guitar and playing it very well. At the age of 11, he performed with Hank Williams on Hank Williams' very last live performance. he actually sat on Hank's knee and they did a song together. And then it was like 2 weeks later, Hank Williams passed away. Next up, we have Nancy Griffith, who is from Texas and proud of it. And she always wears, well, she did, she's passed away a year ago or so. Excuse me. But she always wore a button on her guitar strap of LBJ. She was a proud Texan. But this album's got 40 Econoline, Lone Star State of Mind, and she covers From a Distance. She does a great job on it. But the album of hers that I would recommend you check out is called Other Rooms, Other Voices. And what she does is other people's songs, and where possible, she has them guest on the song with her. A couple of my favorites are a John Prine song called Speed of the Sound of Loneliness. Just a great song, and John plays on it with her. And Tecumseh Valley, which is a Van Zandt song, town song. So check out Other Rooms, Other Voices. And what I'll do is I'll put together an alt country playlist. And if you go to the playlist, you'll be able to hear a lot of these songs I'm talking about and check them out for yourself. Ray Wiley Hubbard. And man, if there was ever a Texas outlaw music, it's Ray Wiley Hubbard. He wrote the famous song Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mothers, which is pretty funny. And he does it. He has to play it. I mean, it's his iconic song, so he can't do a live show without playing that. And he complains about it. You can see on this album, there's a bunch of guest stars with him. But he talks about he says, sometimes you wish you never wrote a song because you got to play it forever. But then twice a year when he gets his royalty check, he says, it's not so bad. Next, we have James McMurtry. Now, he is the son of Larry McMurtry, who wrote The Last Picture Show, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. He also wrote Terms of Endearment and Lonesome Dove. So James is a really good songwriter. He writes like his father writes novels. One of my favorite songs that he's done is called Choctaw Bingo, and another song called We Can't Make It Here Anymore, which is a kind of a working class anthem about all the jobs going overseas, and you just can't make it here anymore. Everything's got to be made in China or India or Southeast Asia. But Stephen King says he is the best songwriter in America. Definitely check out my alt country playlist, and I'll have some James McMurtry songs in there. Next, I have Robert Earl Keen. I don't know what to say about Robert. He's kind of a do it my way or I don't do it at all. Excellent songwriter. Wrote a song that when I do my open mic on Sunday nights, there's one fellow that goes there all the time, and he's always saying, play a Robert Earl Keen song. So every now and then I'll do a song called The Road Goes On Forever, which is one of his more famous songs. But he also wrote a song called Merry Christmas from the Family, which Jill Sobule did a really nice cover on. I love that song, and I do that song every Christmas at open mics. So Robert Earl Keen, another guy. Oh, and one other thing to tell you what kind of a guy he is. During COVID, he mortgaged his house so he could continue to pay his band because they were not able to go on the road. That's the kind of guy that Robert is. I think he's now retired from touring, but I had the good fortune to see him a few times. And then another great songwriter is Billy Joe Shaver. This is a tribute album to Billy. It has Willie Nelson, Ryan Bingham, Rodney Crowell, Miranda Lambert, Edie Brickell, Nathaniel Radcliffe. Who we also got? Amanda Shires, who will be coming up here soon. Steve Earle, Margot Price, and Allison Russell. So he's written a lot of great songs. His son Eddie was an amazing, phenomenal guitar player. Was in his band, and his son died from what they said was a drug overdose in Austin. However, they found him in his body had. They said there was signs that he'd been beaten, the bruises on his face, and he was found. In the person that was in the room with him was the daughter of one of the Austin police officers. So there's questions about his death. But check out Billy Joe Shaver. He's written songs like "I'm just an old piece of coal, but I'm going to be a diamond one day. I'm going to live forever." Um, let's see, "Fast Train to Georgia," or no, "Georgia on a Fast Train." Really, really good songwriter, and I like his voice. Very unique voice and style. Excuse me. Next up, we have Todd Snyder from Portland, Oregon. Todd's a great storyteller, which is why they call it Return of the Storyteller. It's always a fun show with him. My complaint with Todd's live shows is they're too short. But Todd, what can you say? He was a very close friend of Eddie Shaver, and wrote a song for Eddie when he passed away called Waco Moon. But anyways, check out Todd Snyder. You probably know his album. I think it's called Songs for the Daily Planet. He used to play at a small club called the Daily Planet, and that's where these songs came from, and the song title, or the album title. And there's also a song on there called, I think it's Seattle Talking Grunge Rock Blues. It's kind of a hidden track on the CD, but it's very funny, and it makes a lot of fun of the grunge scene. So, again, I'll put a link to that in the alt country playlist. So check them out. And then next up, we have Shiny Ribs. Shiny Ribs is a fellow from a band called The Gourds, and this is Kevin Russell. The Gourds did a great cover of Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice. You gotta watch it. Again, I'll put it in the alt country playlist. But my favorite song on this album is called Country Cool. So check out Shiny Ribs. And then we have a fellow that I have seen many, many times. He's never given a bad show. Amazing guitar player, great vocalist, and that's Dave Alvin. You may know Dave and his brother Phil from the band The Blasters. Dave also spent some time in the band X and the Knitters. This guy is just phenomenal. He's one of my top favorite alt country guys. And I saw him at the Tractor Tavern in Ballard. And after the show, he went out on the sidewalk and did like an impromptu version of Marie Marie. And I did a video of that. I've got a video of him on the sidewalk. So I'm going to add that to the alt country list. And watch it. It's really cool. You can hear me. I'm the one going Marie Marie on the video. So I didn't realize I was picking it up so close. I was so close to the camera. And then another great songwriter, Guy Clark. Oh my goodness. LA Freeway, She Ain't Going Nowhere, Desperados, Waiting on a Train. So many great songs. It was a big loss when we lost him. He was also a luthier, a very respected luthier, and a lot of famous people have bought guitars from him, but he would always do acoustic guitars. There's a song he does, I think it's just called The Guitar, if I can remember. But it's kind of a spooky song, kind of like something you'd hear on The Twilight Zone, about a guy who goes into a pawn shop and he sees this guitar and he says, "Let me see that." And he picks it up and starts playing, and he says, and it was like the guitar played itself. He said, "I didn't know what I was doing." He said, I didn't have any control. It just took off, and I was playing these amazing riffs, and And he finally put it down, and he says, "How much do you want for this?" And the pawn shop's owner said, "Where have you been? I've been waiting for you to come in since I've had this." He said, "It's yours." And anyways, it's kind of I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. It's a great song. It's a great song. Again, it's going to be in the playlist. Another guy that I like a lot and I've seen so many times is Steve Earle. Always puts on a great show, and he's always friendly with the fans. He goes out of his way to meet people and talk to them. I don't know. What can I say about Steve Earle? I love Copperhead Road. Um, I like everything he's done. I have probably 20 of his albums on vinyl. If you don't know Steve Earle, read the book. I think it's called Hard Luck Troubadour that he put out. Quite the story. I tell you, this guy had it all and he lost it all, and it was all because of drugs. And I don't know. He was married like 5 or 6 times. Once he was married to a woman twice because he said that the divorce didn't work out. And then, of course, Steve's son, Justin Townes Earle. Again, I've seen him 2 or 3 times. What a talent! It's such a shame that he died so early. He died from a drug overdose. Kind of followed the steps of his dad, but he wasn't as lucky. His dad was able to finally kick the drugs and turn his life around. But he's great guitar player, good voice, good vocals, good singer. I don't know what else to say about Justin. Just that it was a loss. And then we have Robbie Folks. Robbie is originally from the East Coast, but he moved to Chicago, and he calls his music punk country. And he plays quite often. If you're in Chicago, he plays at the Hideaway quite a bit. Go see him. This guy is a phenomenal guitar player. Unbelievable. And he's got a fellow that plays with him quite often named Robbie Gersel. And Robbie's as good as, both Robbies are equally as good. And you're in for a real treat if you get to see these guys. He's been, this particular album was nominated for a Grammy, although he did not win. He did an entire, you never know what you're going to get with Robbie. He'll make songs up on the spot. he'll do all kinds of music. He did a complete album, complete CD that's nothing but Michael Jackson covers. You'd think, wow, that can't be very good, but I'll tell you, it's good. It's good. The guy's great. One of my favorite songs that shows off his guitar playing is called Cigarette State. And then he's done another song. It's called the, what is it? Fountains of Wayne Hotline. You've got to listen to Fountains of Wayne Hotline because he kind of makes fun of the style of music that they do, but at the same time that he's doing it, he recreates their sound perfectly. If you're a fan of Fountains of Wayne, check out the Alt Country playlist and check out that video. Right, and he's one of the nicest guys too. He really is. His father and his son were contestants on a TV show called The Amazing Race, probably 10 or 12 years ago. And then, of course, we have probably the most successful guy in this genre right now, and that's Jason Isbell. And this is my favorite album of his. Although I don't have his new one, I think it's called Weather Vane. I've heard that it's possibly the best thing he's put out so far, but I have not heard it yet. But Jason has a band called the 400 Unit, and the 400 Unit was the name of the psych unit in the local hospital. So that's how they got their name and what it means. Produced by David Cobb, who's done a lot of stuff for other artists. I can't say enough good things about Jason. His wife is Amanda Shires. And if you look at my videos, I just put up 2 videos where Amanda and a fellow by the name of Rod Picott, who's coming up, did a house concert for us and played in our living room and spent the night here. And so there's 2 videos up there showing Amanda playing, but she has really gotten quite a reputation on her own as a great songwriter and artist. And then we have Slade Cleaves. Now, Slade Cleaves and Rod. Well, I'm going to do Rod first because Rod is the one that played with Amanda in our living room. I used to do house concerts. We used to invite people who were touring, and we'd say, if you want to do a show, we'd put you up. And I've got a pretty large deck in the backyard, and I could put up a pop-up, and I have a PA system I'd put up. And then we'd invite 20 or 30 people over, and they'd pay at the door, and you get a concert. So Rod and Amanda played for us, and Rod is a great songwriter also. Rod and Slade Cleaves were friends, very young age. They grew up together, I think in Maine, I think it was. And the first band they ever put together was called the Magic Rats, because they were both huge Springsteen fans. And Magic Rats is a line from my favorite Springsteen song, Jungle Land. But Rod, in particular, has got so many good songs. What a great songwriter he is. I'm going to put a few of his songs in the Alt Country playlist for you to check out. And then Slade, Rod ended up moving to Nashville, and Slade, I believe, was living in Austin. So they both still tour. So if you get a chance to see either one of these people, I do recommend going. One of the songs that Slade, or a couple of the ones that Slade wrote that I like a lot, one's called Broke Down, and that's the name of the album that it was on. And then Breakfast in Hell. It's a song about a log jam up in Canada, and they've got to go out and break up the jam. And of course, this one fella ends up sacrificing himself to save everybody else. A good song. I've played it a few times at an open mic, but it's kind of a long song, so I don't do it very often. So those are the alt country Americana roots records that I really like, and I wanted to share with you guys. If leave some comments below. Do you like these people? Are you familiar with them? It would be nice if you would take the time to listen to some of the songs that I'm going to put in the playlist. Appreciate you watching. I don't do as many videos as I would like to do, but that's because I haven't come up with really good ideas for them. I think the next ones I'm going to be doing are my Beatles bootlegs. I'll probably get those out this week. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Until next time, ciao.